Hey guys, this is Bharadwaj with Fonearena.com, and right now I have the Xperia Z Ultra in my hands. So this phablet, launched by Sony for around 46,000 rupees, has a lot of features packed into it. A lot of features, literally tons of features. This has a huge screen and a great processor. This is one of the first devices to sport the Snapdragon 800 processor. But the only skimp that Sony did was the camera. Yes, the camera is an 8 megapixel unit that you can see on the back, pretty normal unit, and as you can see here, it doesn't have even a flash. So that's the camera there. But how's the performance and how's the UI and the features? Let's find out. That's the camera review of the Xperia Z Ultra that we are going to show you right now. So this is the main interface of the camera. As you can see, this is right now in the video mode. I'll switch to the Superior Auto Plus mode. This is actually inspired from Sony CyberShot cameras. This I Plus mode is present on a lot of point and shoot cameras from Sony. So this does not provide any option. This is just click and shoot. That's it. That's about it for the Superior Auto mode, and the pictures are quite good, but we'll come to the performance later. But you also have a lot of modes on the top here. On the top you can see the toggles, normal, video camera, burst, picture effect, sweep, panorama, scene selection, front camera and front video. These are all the modes that are present in the Sony Xperia Z Ultra. So the front facing camera is actually a 1080p unit, 1.9 megapixel, and front video is also 1080p, and it is quite nice. But we'll get to that later. First we will see what the normal mode offers. So this is the normal mode. Going through the UI completely, over at the right hand side you have the gallery thumbnail that will take you straight to the gallery, and no swipe gestures here to take you straight to the gallery, just the thumbnail. You have the camera shutter button and the video shutter button right besides, and clicking either of them will initiate the action obviously, and then you have the front facing camera toggle. At the bottom left you have the settings, which has a lot of options which we will get into. Over at the top left you have the mode selection, of course, and you have the exposure value compensation setting over at the left here, and HDR mode on or off here. The HDR mode actually doesn't really work that well. The difference between the normal and the HDR modes is barely noticeable. Now going into the settings, you have a lot of settings here. So you can have a quick launch, which provides options to launch and capture immediately. So clicking on the camera icon will take you into the camera UI and snap a picture immediately, or you can record a video, or you can just launch the camera UI part of the UI or the video part of the UI, or you can just switch it off. That's the quick launch mode right there. And other settings, other important settings are for the resolution. Of course, you can have up to 8 megapixel. This is just a 8 megapixel camera, and you have 4:3 as well as 16:9 resolutions. You have the focus mode, which can change from single autofocus, multi autofocus, face detection and object tracking. Pretty robust focus options there. You have exposure value, which is pretty redundant because you already have the toggle right there, and HDR mode also another redundant feature. But the thing is, you can actually add these options onto the sides, so that's why they are present, and you can always swap them with the options here. You also have the image stabilization option, and the image stabilization tells you whether you are shaking the photo or not. So there is also geotag, auto upload. This auto upload will be uploading to Sony's own Play Memory service, so that's pretty nice. You also have Dropbox auto upload if you wish to install Dropbox on this phone. And then you have touch capture, which takes a photo on touch, doesn't use the shutter button. And then you have preview on or off, or data storage and shutter sound, which is pretty normal. So lot of options there in the normal photo mode. Let's jump into the video camera mode and see the options for that. Yet again, you have all the similar options from the stills mode, but then you have slightly more options with image stabilizer, which is similar but actually works as software stabilization. And then you have video resolution, which has full HD, 720p, 640 by 480, and up to MMS quality 176 by 144. So that's about it. Focus is a bit different here. Single autofocus, object tracking, and face detection. This is all continuous autofocus for the video mode, and we'll show you some really cool thing that we noticed in the photo mode of the Xperia Z Ultra. But before that, let's dive into the settings here. So yeah, not much different from the Xperia Z's the image mode. So let's jump into the image mode now and see a really cool thing. So this is the normal mode. It has continuous autofocus and it is currently in focus. But when you switch to a smaller object, a nearer object, it instantly focuses and blurs the other parts of the photo. As you can see here, this is like really amazingly fast focus. This is really hard to show in the camera, but we'll try our best again. Let's try to keep this minion here. So a little bit closer perhaps. Yep. So right now the focus is on the bike, but when I do this, it instantly focuses on the minion and the focus is blazing fast. It is blazing fast between the minion and the bike. You might not be able to see this on the camera because of focus issues on our DSLR, but then this is probably one of the fastest autofocus times on a camera we have ever seen, and that might be thanks to the processor in this phone, that is the Snapdragon 800, which is one of the world's fastest ARM processors, and that might really help with the fastest autofocus on this phone. So then after the video mode, you also have burst picture effect. Picture effect is actually quite nice, and this also uses the power of the Snapdragon 800 processor. As you can see, I have live filters, and once you go into some filter, it can change it can change to different modes on a tap. So this picture effect doesn't have that kind of a mode, but going into the sketch mode, you'll be able to see that I can switch between different types of the sketch using this mode. So you can see from the sketch mode here that the single tap changes the kind of sketch, and you also have different effects for other things, like for example vivid, which increases the saturation a lot, and you can also control that with a slider. So a lot of picture effects there, not really useful, but yeah, it exists. And you also have scene selection, which has a lot of options for whatever you find, fireworks, snow, party, beach, gourmet, for all the Instagrammers there, handheld twilight, night portrait, backlight correction plus HDR, a lot of options there, but let's find out if they really work out in the camera performance tests. Sweep panorama is nice. Sony introduced sweep panorama with the Xperia phones, and we have already seen a lot of Xperia phones do this extremely well, and the panorama mode on the Xperia Z Ultra is no exception. And then front facing camera, as I said, this is really cool. The front facing camera works really well. And as you know, the front facing camera here records in 1080p, takes photos in 1080p, works really well and pretty good. Let's change the mode here, front facing camera video, again the same thing. So that's all the modes of the Xperia Z Ultra's camera. But what about the performance? You have seen a lot of modes here, a lot of things to do, but does it really work? In a sense, not much. So the Xperia Z Ultra's camera performance in daylight as well as in a lot of modes is pretty underwhelming. But you be the better judge of it. Take a look at the daylight samples here. As you can see from the daylight samples, the colors are pretty washed out and there is a lot of edge sharpening going on. So the pictures don't really look great, but they do look amazingly well on the Xperia Z Ultra's display, which might be a sort of misconception perhaps, because the pictures look great on the display and not that great on a bigger or better display, like for example a TV. So from what we tested, we think the display is kind of misconceiving in terms of picture quality. So moving on to macro pictures, take a look at the samples right here. So as you can see, the macro pictures are quite good, but then again we see a lack of detail when we zoom in too much, and also over sharpening and noise in the photo. So not really the best camera that Sony has put in a Sony Xperia, especially with the Xperia Z producing really especially with the Xperia Z totally producing underwhelming results. So then let's move on to the low light shots. As you can see from the indoor low light shots here, the performance is yet again really terrible. The over sharpening is pretty evident in low light and noise reduction is very apparent. You also have several modes, so taking in the night mode makes the photo a little bit better, but then again the performance is not really up to the mark, and for 46,000 rupees this is probably a bad camera. That's what we are coming to a conclusion here. But there is also the video mode, which probably you should check it out. Check out the video sample here and we'll talk about it. So yeah, the video taken by the Xperia Z Ultra is of course pretty decent. It has a software image stabilizer which works quite nicely, not as much as the hardware stabilization options you get in other phones, but still works quite nice. As you can see, I'm recording a video here and I can simultaneously take a picture while recording video, which is pretty standard on most phones these days. And the video performance is actually much better than the stills performance, and we think that the colors are even washed out in the video too, but that's the inherent property of the camera. And overall we think it's pretty decent but not really great. That's the conclusion we are coming to here. Overall the stills and the video performance is just average, and for 46,000 rupees we really expected much better, especially from Sony. And all these tons and tons of options have gone to waste just because the camera quality is not that good. But this is a good real look into the camera UI just before the Xperia Z1 Honami launches at IFA. This camera UI will be really useful for that phone with a crazy good camera, a 20 megapixel camera coming soon. So just take it as a preview of the Xperia Z1 Honami's user interface on the Xperia Z Ultra. This camera, by the way, is just average, and if you're looking to take great pictures, then stay away from it. So that's it for the camera review of the Sony Xperia Z Ultra. Do hit the like button if you like this video, and do subscribe to our channel for more camera reviews like these, and do let us know what you think in the comment section below. Thanks for watching.